Hello, everyone. We had a surprise vote today after Eldraine crushed the voting 2 votes in a row yesterday in a pretty close one. We're actually going back to M21 today. Actually, you know what? I'm going to talk and keep this going, but I didn't pull best of 1 or best of 3, which we do have an option for with this format. I would do best of 3 if people want it. And actually, so let's pull that real quick. 1 or 3. And actually, I'm going to start my spiel over and figure this out first. Here, I need my record scratch here.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs?
Hold on. Best of 1, 1 anyway. All right. It depends, Mensch. I mean, it can. I think best of 1 when I do well can take significantly longer than a best of 3. I hear you, but let's just get going. Now I'll redo. Hey everybody, welcome. After a close vote, we were actually going back to Core Set 2021 drafting today. We may draft Eldraine again if this one goes quickly. We're going to find out, I suppose. But we are back at the core here. And it's a fine core set, which is to say it's a fine modern Magic set. My expectations of core set draft are quite high at this point. I do not let any set off the hook for the draft experience because you don't need complexity for a good, fun, balanced, replayable draft format. Complexity helps with replayability. Like the more complex sets do have longer legs, but a good Magic draft format doesn't have to be complex to have nice, sturdy legs that can take you deep into the format, nice and happily, which is where I've kind of been with this, and again, where I expect most core sets to be at this point, because if you're a game designer, you should be able to design that limited format regardless of what world you're on or what flavor you are or what complexity of card you're even allowed to use. Magic at its core is so complex that you should be able to serve all of your audiences in a core set, both us passionate people watching Twitch and YouTube and trying to achieve play goals with our Magic, and those just learning the game and figuring it out. So yeah, it's been interesting to see the core set return. And of course, if you need any core set 2021 for your tabletop game, you can check out my sponsor, cardkingdom.com. They are pretty well stocked on everything related to standard. Sometimes something happens in standard, a deck blows up and the card sells out everywhere, right? Some $2.50 rare that that was on the edge but not really a thing suddenly breaks open, and everybody wants 4 copies. In that world, even Card Kingdom is likely to sell out, because for that short period of time when a card blows up, everybody sells out, right? There's this readjustment period where every online reseller sells the stock they have, and then they try and then they start rebuilding, and that's where Card Kingdom is incredible. They get that stock back really quickly, partly because their buy list is so incredible. So I'm going to pitch the buy list today again. If you are looking to get some cash right now, I truly say the best thing you can do is hit Card Kingdom and look at their buy prices, because if you're not either working with Card Kingdom or someone who matches Card Kingdom, then you are really selling yourself short on your own card value. So make sure that before you sell, you at least check in with Card Kingdom for the values. And we are going to jump in now. The draft view. And if you happen to have copies of the new hotness that you're not using, you just happen, maybe you drafted it and now suddenly it blew up, check in with Card Kingdom, because they're going to be offering you the best price to restock that card. Oh, sorry. Yes, let's turn on that. I'm still getting used to my own system, but I'm going to turn on Bling Redemption now. So if you want to redeem, do so. But please look at the stuff we have via the Bling link and decide what you want before you pin it before you take it. So we got Soul Seer and Waker. What do you think? This is interesting. I think I will do a quick poll on this real quick. Soul Wake. We got a excellent red burn spell and an excellent blue reanimator slash just good card spell. These are clearly what we're going to take. One of these two. Hunter's Edge is nice too. Worth observing that that's there. Man, maybe that's the second time I've heard that. D. Maybe I need to do some exploration. My daughter was messing with my system to do her own thing at one point, and maybe. All right, I'll take the Soul Seer. Maybe I could be on the wrong mic. I may be like it may be capturing me from the webcam mic or something. That would be bad. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm going to worry about it after this draft. Wow, I would love a Heartfire Immolator, Soul Seer, mono red, excellent follow-up card, but somehow someone has decided that Rada is not the first pick out of this pack. I guess, some people may be feeling like gold card is too committal, but it's a common missing, so not sure what's gone, but we're going to take Rada. Mensch wants Immolator? Oh, interesting. I think Rada is powerful enough to pass the Immolator. I don't think Final Blow... I mean, Houdini, if they first pick Final Blow in this pack, they don't understand the format great. I would think Dragonfire, possibly Feet, something like that. Pteranodon. But Rada, I'm not passing Rada even for an... Immolator is great, but that shows the respect that I've gained for Rada. Much like the rare Cat Maker, it's coming to understand the power of the 6-mana activated ability that makes me like Rada. Sorry, dub. Funny, we got a nice follow. Soul Seer into Rada is excellent. If we had taken the Waker, the Stitcher would be an amazing follow there. We still could take the Stitcher even. There's nothing really great here in green or red. We could take a Hobble Fiend since we're clearly red and we really want to plant a flag here. So really this is an interesting spot where we're deciding as drafters whether to use the Hobble Fiend, take the Hobble Fiend and commit to red, or switch to a different path, take the Stitcher, take the Reed, and move in a different direction, or Singer even. I think we just take the Hobble Fiend, though. I think it's good enough. No, I do like these. I think Hobble Fiend, like, I really want to play red, and 2-drops are this important. So and Hobble Fiend is pretty good in the green deck if we do end up playing the Rada. I didn't see anything there so strong that it took me off of this direction. And I don't love the green-black uncommon and don't really love green-black here. Yeah, Singer would have been fine. I think Singer's probably the second choice there. And now things are a little weird, but Crash Through is somewhat of a glue card for red. Almost no matter where we pivot to red, we're willing to play this. And then in some decks, it's actively good. And really, it's at its best in green, where giving trample to large green is nice, or in red-blue, where you're happy to play the sorcery instant sub-themes. So, and Ghoul has been called. I'm trying to avoid the black enough. This is where, I don't know. I'm going to go with Crash Through. Some people might say here I'm not drafting the hard way. I'm blindly taking colors instead of drafting the hard way, but I honestly did not see anything there that I felt was good enough to pull me off of supporting the color that I started with and that I would like to stay in. I would really like to play this Soul Seer and Rada. So, and now we have a Wizardry we can take. And Wizardry here does, and we've seen some blue open, so I'm going to take the Wizardry and with the Crash Through and the Soul Sear, start to look for blue, actually. So this is kind of what, they'll plant the flag in one color and really try to feel out where our second color is. And then we get a Warden of the Woods, pick 6, and we have a Rada. So I think we have our answer. We're probably probably not playing the Wizardry in this situation, but got to take the Warden. Turn to Slag has fallen pretty far for everyone in this format. We could just grab another Crash Through, which is truly at its best in red-blue, not red-green. But as I said, giving Warden Trample even not the worst. But it is interaction, as Hat points out. I don't want a million turn to Slags, but like one, one is fine. So I think we take the one fine turn to Slag now, and we'll take Crash Throughs. Yeah, low opportunity cost 2, as Hat points out. Here, I think the first Ranger's Guile is great. This is the Ranger's Guile and Feat of Resistance, I think, are the 2 cards in the format that are really what make Finishing Blow look so bad. The aggro nature of the format can make Finishing Blow look bad as well. You don't like casting Finishing Blow targeting a 2-drop that you just have to kill and losing a 3-mana advantage on that exchange. But it's really, to me, the fact that for 1 mana or for 2 mana, you can counter target removal spell. That's why 5 mana removal has fallen so far to me. And here we can take another Wizardry. There is clearly some blue-red going here. We may just happen to have enough going on in our red instants and sorceries that this green-red deck could make use of Goblin Wizards. What do you think? Because the opportunity cost is a Vine and a Growth. I'm going to take the Wizardry and we'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, Watkus being willing to even move into blue based on that, I at least want to take the Wizardry and keep it in mind. We could, again, see if we can take Thrill here. We could end up with enough going on. It's really weird to have a low creature green-red deck, but we could end up there in this spot. And I'm still going to take a Thrill over a Flyer on a blue card I'm not sure we're in yet. But Larcenist, a couple Larcenists in a row here. Well, green looks not open yet. How does there a 6th pick Warden when green's not open? I don't. So there's some data points that are conflicting with each other is the bottom line. We can take a Pitchburn Devils here. If we ended up in blue, we might play a Wall of Runes, but again, I'm just going to take the for sure color card. We wield Narcinist even. Protege is a playable blue. Skira is even playable white. We're not excited about it, but Chromatic Ori, we're also not excited about. It's mythic, but we're not there. We are also not really, I guess we take a Pteranodon. It was observed that green didn't seem that open, although we got past a Rada pick 2, and we got past a Warden pick 6, and a Ranger's Guile showed up, which is whatever. Opt and Pivot has been called. Anybody else like Opt and Pivot, or just stick with Tyran? If we get... I'm going to take Pteranodon and see if we can get the green hookup. I don't think we should abandon the Rada and the Warden for the Opt and potentially the Wizardry. For right now, I'm taking Pteranodon, although if that Opt wheels, that's certainly a sign. Opt seems... Okay, well, this is interesting. We've got Augur. Or Hunter's Edge. Augur, if we take the Opt and pivoted to blue, I think you take the Augur here. But let's go with the Edge. I think Warden and Rada and the Edge there are reasons to continue down this red-green path. as a baseline. We can do a replicator. We have that doesn't count for replication. Don't see any. I don't like the replication here. We can take Sky Scanner, but what are we doing with Sky Scanner in this deck? I would run 2 Guile, but I don't want to take the second Guile here. The pack is bad. Yeah, the pack is bad, so the question is whether we're taking really Scanner or Replicator. That's the only question. Given that green may end up ramping and we may end up with multiples, I'll take a flyer on the Replicator with the expectation that we're probably not playing it. Geyser keeps us heavy red, or, you know, down the red path. We could take a Sanctum for some fixing or a Spinner to lock in additional 2s. We like locking in some 2s. But I think Geyser is reasonable here. Yeah, Burn Bright, possibly if we end up playing Wizardries is fine, but let's get those late. If they show up late, okay. And yeah, Dread wants the Spider. I don't blame you for wanting a 2-drop. I'm probably being a little greedy here, but I'm also being color-oriented, like knowing that we're red, and still being willing to bail on green if the packs really indicate that's what should happen. I don't see that here. We can just take a Hobble Fiend. Houndmaster is good, but we're not going to pivot to white. The Houndmaster and Acolyte suggest white is pretty open, although maybe it was just cut from the right, and now people to our right are getting the hookup, but we're going to take Fiend. Another Houndmaster for some serious Phantom Pains, but we'll take yet another Hobble Fiend. We are simply not the red-white deck. So let's not pretend we are. Pyreling, I'll take a... I mean, Pyreling does not have reach. Snare Spinner has reach. Yeah, we should just get all the Hobble Fiends we can, and then we can play a Replicator. Pyreling, what do we have to do to trigger Pyreling? Soul Seer. No, it doesn't have the trample thing or whatever. No. Arsonist, maybe. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should... sorry, I thought I had more time. Wish I had taken the other one. I'm going to take Training here, though. Although Training... yeah, Prowess triggers Training. Or Training triggers Prowess, so that seems fine. I like Training over the Fury as well. More Hobble Fiends. And now we can play the Replicator. I'm in for 5 Hobble Fiend Replicator, although maybe we just want our first Cur over 5th Hobble Fiend. Come on. Get a Cur. 4 is enough to play the Replicator, and these do start to lose some value in... Do that. Here's the Burn Bright. We can... This is where I'll take the Burn Brights on the Wizardry spec. Turret Ogre is okay here. Thank you for that sub. Pocket Nebula, 5 months. Awesome. Wow, look at this. Some days there's nobody in Boros. Gosh, maybe I should beam these out. Maybe we are white. Well, 8 people, 10 color pairs. Well, and then, you know, sometimes you're looking for validation that you're a good person. Something the universe is telling you that's like, Ryan, you're all right. And then you get a pack 3, pick one. Bomb. Ganmore seriously wants to consider the pivot to white. Faith's Fetters is a reasonable argument for that. Trouble is, Ganmore, we don't even have the tools to make Houndmaster good. This is just a 2 mana. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, Ganmore was joking, but some people might consider that a strong enough. It's clear nobody's in the color, right? I mean, we could snap up every. I'll tell you this: if we committed hard to red-white from here, I bet we have a playable deck. I think we just end up with a better deck. Between these two. But yeah, Scourge versus Shock is the real pick here. Mono red pivot. I don't think I'm going to be mono red. If we were mono red, I would just splash for Rada and Hunter's Edge at that point. But we can take the shock. Spellgorger weird. Usually not good in this kind of deck. Usually this is very much a blue-red deck, but we could still run it given the amount of spells we have. This is a very spell-heavy red-green deck. Greed for the Fiends. We do have a lot of Fiends. That's fair. I think we can take the Greed for the Fiends. That's fair. Greed sometimes wheels. Yeah, maybe we could try and wheel it, but I think it's really good with the point that it's really good with the Hobble Fiends is well taken, and I'm going to take it. Do we want a 5th Hobble Fiend or another Crash Through even? Or another Burn Bright if we want to... I think maybe like Crash Through over Burn Bright if we're trying to get these Goblin Wizards in. Mike still likes the Fiend. 5th Fiend. Maybe 5th Fiend, wheel the Crash Through. Another Traitorous, so it's a real plan now. There's a Hunter's Edge, but seriously, 2 Traitorous Greed and 5 Hobble Fiend is a plan. Nothing much here to main, but we'll take the Dilo in case. Fierce Empath to help find a Warden. I mean, people don't like this card, but having 2 copies of Warden of the Woods would not suck here. But maybe we just need another 2-drop. Our 2s are great. We have so many Hobble Fiends now. So, what do you think? I think Devils... We already have a Devils. I'm not going to take 2. I know people don't like the Empath. I like it a little better. Ooh, Palladium Mirror, though, at 3. We just don't... We're not really ramping, though, are we? I mean, Palladium Mirror goes to the 5s nicely. Another Wizardry. I'm going to take the Wizardry. I think with the 3rd Wizardry, we can... And the heaviness of our spells, we can make this work. You like the Bolty Boy? I'm going Wizardry. Now a Shock. Weird draft, don't you think? Weird draft. Maybe we play this. Weird comes back. Speaking of weird drafts. Another Burn Bright. we have some plans we can pursue, I'll say that. Yeah, I don't think the Fierce Empath pick mattered because I don't think we were going to play anything from that pack. Bone Pit Brute. Yeah, well, Ganmore... So Ganmore says... observes that the trouble with Fierce Empath is that if you draw, and assume we don't play our this other 6 or whatever, if you draw your Warden of the Woods ahead of the Empath, you're sad because now you've got a 3-mana 1/1 that's not going to be able to fetch anything, and it's probably a good reason not to play it, but I do want to call out, though, that the counter to that, though, is the reason that you can't get Warden of the Woods then is that because you have it. And the idea of being willing to play Fierce Empath, knowing that it could be a blank in the spot where you draw Warden, is that you're saying that Warden is so good that if you are in a game where you draw Warden and then you draw Fierce Empath, you're cool with it because you natural drew your Warden and are happy with that, right? So that's the philosophy of running it in a deck short on 6-drops. The reason you only want to run it if you can tell yourself the quote fail case of drawing my sweet 6 and then drawing the Finder is so good The 6 is so good that I'm willing to double my chances of finding that 6. No, I'm not saying it is Texas Toast. I'm saying that is that's the reason to play this card with a low 6-drop count, like one 6-drop. It has to be that good. I'm not arguing that Warden is, and I'm saying though that's the thinking that you would undertake in deciding. Yeah, the other thing, like Jim points out, the argument being, well, yes, this cost me a card, but in order for Warden to be dealt with, I'm going to get 2 cards back. Hey, thanks for the sub, appreciate that. GP Freak or G Freak 247, first sub, I like that. I love celebrating all the sub-anniversaries. It's so awesome to see the numbers climbing up, 18 months, 19 months coming up here. That's always really exciting, but something very special about seeing someone sub who has no streak going, because that they took the jump. Thank you. Really appreciate that. All right, let's start with this notion that, hey, is this a mono red deck? What if this was mono red? Does that look? Let's see. Let me see about the mic, as D reminds me. I need a moment. Let's see what it. No. You say fix the mic, but the mic is on the right one. It's too loud. Lower the volume a little bit. Is that better? Check, 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 check. I'll do some experiments later, but I don't know what to do about it. Here, I'll switch to the webcam mic just for a second. So this is me on the webcam mic now. Does that sound better? Should I just go webcam today and figure out what's wrong with my Yeti? Well, there you go. There's one way to make you enjoy this mic a little better. Now you love this, don't you? Now, what do you think of this now, D? Well, normally I don't respond to. Well, when one person complains about fidelity or sound quality, I usually run it by chat. But in this case, D was saying something that seemed reflected by other people's experience too, so I wanted to check it out. Yeah, that's why I treated it as real, because D is not the first person to say that, and he wasn't even here yesterday. So clearly something's going on. Yeah, maybe I just needed to get the volume up on the Yeti. Well, that's the thing. I think you got to play Rada, and we don't need to play Hunt Warden, but Rada is worth a splash. And you might not think that as a 3-drop, but the thing is, again, the thing that makes me like Rada is the activated ability at the bottom. Or not the thing that makes me like, but the thing that puts Rada into WoW territory is the 6-mana effect. So we could totally, yeah, and I think that also would justify Edge. And it does not justify, for example, Pteranodon or Training. Not even really Guile. And nothing that requires double. But both of these are good on turn 8 or whatever, and so that's why we would splash these. Yeah, Trader's Greed is interesting quote fixing. But yeah, if you were, we went turn 2 Hobble Fiend and let's see, what we get 2 mana back, so and we need 3 total to steal and sack. So like if we were at 6 mana, like if we were at 6 total mana or 5 mana, we could cast this, get mana back. Anyway, there's some play at like 5 where we get to cast these and still do the sack thing. Yeah, Guile is too bad of a top deck. Like, these are great top decks when you've got the green and you finally find your card for it. If we're late in the game, you're not like fist pumping because you finally drew your Ranger's Guile. Yes, my splash got here. I can now protect this creature I've had for some number of turns that hasn't died despite my lack of Guile, right? So at that point, you're never fist pumping in that spot. So, Mensch says we should be winning before Rada gets her ability off. Mensch, you would not splash Rada. I think in the ideal, when everything goes according to plan, you're right, but things don't always go according to plan in Limited, and sometimes you're staring at an empty battlefield, 12 lands on each side, and Rada wins that game. Wins that game for you. Artifact creature for mana fixing. This Prismite? No, we don't need Prismite. We're gonna be fine on the green we're running. I do like cutting the Devils. Maybe we can cut the Ogre. And Arsonist. This is more of a 5. We can cut... I cut one. I think maybe I'll keep 1 Burn Bright in. We can also make this 16 lands. Mike likes Arsonist with Thrill. I'm trying to focus on the spell side of this deck and get this weird as big as we can. I'm sad we didn't get more Crash Throughs, really. Hireling is a cuttable 2, I agree. Picked up, we have 6 2s plus a Thrill. Yeah, we're already at 16. And I think 11-5 is fine as well. Yeah, we have 5s in an X spell, but we have a Thrill and we have Best of 1. Hand smoothing is I've always said I haven't done much adjusting on it, but I'm also willing to listen to data. And now smart people have done lots of data diving on it. We could go to 17. We do have a geyser, but we don't. This doesn't need the geyser for a huge amount to be worth it. And between, with Crash Through and Thrill and the Hand Smoother, I think 11-5 and being nearly monocolored, I think all of those go towards the notion of 16. If I lose 2 in a row, will I try mono red? Probably not, Mensch. I am quite confident that your deck, that one's deck would be worse by adding 2 red cards and cutting Rada and Hunter's Edge from this. This is not a demanding splash. This is not even a splash. This is just our second color, right? I mean, the value of mono red, the value of mono is the mana consistency, and I think we have that here. Like 11 mountains is a lot. I mean, we could even go 12-4 if you really want to be sure that we're getting that mana advantage off of mono. But because also the Trader's Greed thing does allow us to cast these in a weird pinch. So we could also do this. But I think I am going to go back to 5. I think 11 mountains is great. 11 mountains, we would be thrilled. In most decks where we're playing these types of red cards, we'd be running 8 or 9 sources of red and feel pretty good about that. In this case, we get 11 and still get to run quote splash cards with a heck of a splash. 5 sources plus Trader's Greed. So, I'm not. I think even with a double red top, of course, watch me get punished. It's got to be 12-5, 12-4, or 11-5 at 16. I'm going to start here and get the show on the road. Obviously, we need Fiend. We got to incorporate Hobbling or Fiend or Greed. How about greedy greed fiends? Greed fiend? I'm a greed fiend.
Point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed is good.
And I'll check my redemptions. Well, after all that, nobody's redeemed anything. Oh no, wait, there's one. Where's my all requests? There we go. Sorry, my thing was on a sub menu. It wasn't showing me the top level. Now I'm at top level and I see we get sleeves. Avon unstable full for lands, and Hat's gonna tell us what sleeve. Chandra sleeves. Are these the unstables? Yes, these are the unstables, right? Great, so we're already there. Complete, complete, complete. Right. All right, here's a par poll. If I were to play this out a million times, how many on average would we win? Not 6 and 1. We are 0, 0. M20. Premier. Gonna keep this. Spider. Well, we're gonna go Hobble Fiend here. If we don't find a land, we'll probably pitch Cur to Thrill and go digging. I'm going to keep all 3 Hobble Fiends because if one of them dies, I still want to be able to trigger this Replicator with some reliability. 18 months for D. Thanks, D. Congrats on 18 months. All right, we did not, in fact, find land, so I'm going to do exactly the play I indicated. Come on, land us. All right. Take it. Oppo ramping into a gnarled sage. We're going to steal and sack that. We could even potentially do it here. Yeah, thank you. I keep screwing up and forgetting that Rada reveals the top of your library. Because I am pretty obsessed with the 6 mana ability is what she's all about. But yeah, we can just dump some Fiends as well. Some Wizardry tokens for the Traitorous Greed next turn. So let's... I think we go... Wow, there's a lot of options here. I'm not sure what's correct. 2 spelling is always appealing. But the reason you 2 spell is to get 2 bodies down. Goblin Wizardry does that, and if we can start on the Wizardry, then they get to be bigger through all the other stuff we're trying to do. So I'm going to pass and do Wizardry. Yeah, Fiend, Hope for Replicator is also a way to go. I'm going to go Wizardry, and then we'll lean into the Replicator possibility once we get the 5th land. Dreadmaw. Well, I thought we were going to steal and sack the Sage. New plan. Shock. Now we need to kind of play Rada. Well, let's see. If we Traitorous Greed, we get to steal, sack, and still have a shock mana up. And we shock what? The Visionary? Like, the trouble is we have to use the mana. I mean, we don't get to, like, hold shock for their turn or whatever. So it's kind of a weak use of the shock, but probably still worth it. Let's do that. Any one color, so we need red and shock. And unfortunately, we have to sack it now, or we lose the mana. But better to kill than get the extra damage in. Gnarled Sage gets to do some stuff here. Let's see. If we get a land, I'll play Rada. Remember to look... Okay, we did not get a land, so interesting. That makes me want to... See, because we could Rada, leaving up a mountain. If there's a land on top, we get to play it and play a Fiend. Or, we just simply double Fiend, almost ensuring that we get to Replicator for value next turn. So those are the two options. I think it's worth the gamble here, because getting Rada down's not the worst anyway, and sets us up to help do this next turn anyway. So yeah, let's see if we can get there. We need the land anyway, right? Good point. Land us. Come on. Yeah, clean living right here. Swing first. Were we ever attacking? I wasn't going to attack. Maybe I missed. Maybe I missed it, but I guess we had the threat of block. I just wanted to save everything for next turn, but I should have thought about it more. Y'all are right. Probably missed some free damage. Although not. This turned out to make it moot, but again, mistake was not thinking about it. Blocks. Scary. Look at me remembering. I remembered. Although we're flooding. Replicator is our only play, but we do get Hobble Fiend up. Didn't have attacks into a 5/7 hexproof. Yeah, Reed kind of ends this for us, huh? But if they can't make that thing fly, at least we have a double block. Yeah, Rada is the plan here. Making these land draws at least somewhat palatable. Making her more powerful. At 8, I had to lay down some D. But then, yes, I think it's time to get Rada going. And also nicely, we can, with a land play, be able to Hobble Fiend and activate Rada. I don't want to play the Hobble Fiend now. I want to show as much mana available as possible. I think we just send Rada and leave everything back on D and just make this about Rada and defense and hope that the Megalodon does not start flying at some point. Giving Rada some trample would be nice. That's if we get a crash through. Could be pretty game winning. If they're going to do that, we don't even need to pump. Because unfortunately we don't have trample. But we do, because of that, get to dump a couple more creatures at least. Tom worried that we're forced to spend our mana. The nice thing, Tom, at 8 mana is that even if they force us to activate, we could have played one Hobble Fiend. And yeah, if you think of it as a free removal spell, suddenly spending 6 mana seems reasonable, right? You'd pay 6 mana for replace itself, kill a creature. Yeah, Mike points out that we look good for an alpha here. We can play this land off the top. We get we get a crash through though. But with Hunter's Edge, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 8 out, right? Oh, so we didn't have a Hobble Fiend last turn. I had my mana wrong, I guess. I was saying we could activate Rada and still play a Hobble Fiend, but my math suggests that was not correct last turn. Let's Hunter's Edge, taking out. Yeah, which we could take out the Gnarled Sage, and then just go for a big turn next turn. What do you think of that? Yeah, we can send the Hobble Fiends, but is that really actually good? If we're well, that's the thing. I need to understand my attack before we decide the edge. Mike wants to edge first, but then that says we can't Rada. So, Mike, if we edge, we're saying we don't pump Rada this turn. And then we don't attack with Rada. I kind of like... yeah, the reason we can swing with Rada, and they probably block, but then we have to pump, and then then we don't edge. So let's start with the attack. I'm going to send Rada alone, especially with the crash through. Alone. I know. So we could send maybe the one that's already pumped. Yeah, I like the edge crash 2-spell turn. So then the question is, are we bringing Hobble Fiend? Attacking with a Hobble Fiend here. If they have a land in hand... Yeah, I'm at 0 here. Yeah, see, I don't like that. I'm going to do this. Not during the... I'm going to time you out, D, if you bug me about mics while I'm trying to win a Magic game. Just let me do this. Yeah, let's edge the Sage now. All right, that's rough, but not lethal yet. Gotta hope for no pump spell here. No pump, no pump. They're looking for it. That's actually somewhat bad, but I think we can still... Can we get there through this with the crash through coming? I think we're still gonna be okay, but I'm gonna spread this around and put a counter on a different Fiend. Yeah, Guile would just be GG, but that would be surprising, but you just have to laugh and get on with your life. Good luck, Oppo. Do it. Guile. No guile. GG. Close. We got there. Rada, right? Worth the addition of green, I think. Well, maybe this will answer the question of mono red. This is very mono, but we'll keep. I mean, this is kind of what we're expecting. Again, we're a red deck with a green splash. The appeal of mono is real. Whenever you get the density of one color that we did have, you absolutely should look at monocolored and see what that looks like. In our case, I think we made the right call because we had a powerful enough spell, but there are good reasons to stay mono. Yeah. Mensch is noting the quality of Rada last turn, but that's why I'm also noting that Mensch is not out of line to question whether we should be splashing given the availability of mono. It's a good question and a good thing to think about and a good kind of level up topic. When to mono and when to do what we're doing here is not easy to see. This is pretty easy to see. I'm not letting them have this devotee. Not even for a turn. I think we're doing enough with the wizardry tokens, Tom, that I like the edge as well. Helps all those wizardry tokens, and it's just a powerful spell in the format. Sure. Not sure. It's good to be not sure. I think there are a lot of Magic players who would be a lot better at this game if they were a little less sure of themselves. Have the humility to think you might not see it all. Those are, and I try to have that humility. I don't always succeed, but I try. So, too bad this wasn't a land. Would love to just slag this thing and bash, right? We can send the Cur, though, as I would double pump this and take the trade. But then I'll crash through after that. You want to swing all? I guess they're at 12. We can sack whatever. If we're going to swing all, I should play the crash through then, right? Mike likes giving up a Hobble Fiend for some damage here. And effectively, we go crash through, sack one Hobble Fiend, and we have one pump on the Cur. The trouble is, if Mike, if we send all, then I guess we have to do it without the crash through, right? Yeah. And it doesn't matter anyway, because we would sack what's being blocked. I like Mike's line. Let's go for damage. I was considering the crash through first, but then that takes away the threat of activation on Cur. I mean, if we find a land, we could have played the land, but I didn't want to risk that. If we don't find the land, it wrecks the whole play. So I'd rather execute the play. And I should have pumped the cur, I guess. I should have pumped the cur for sure. I got lucky. We found a 2. I mean, that was kind of my thinking, that I knew we were going to draw, but I should have taken the sure too. I got lucky to find a Fiend. It was the temptation of drawing, but that was silly. All right, now we're going to draw land. Actually, land is just GG anyway, right? 2 get through, and then we sack everything else to the open. Yeah, still lethal. It was GG. Not punished for my pump fail. Take it. Well, unless my daughter switched something, it should be on what it's always been on. Yeah. One thing I'm willing to mess with here while we wait is the gain dial on the mic itself, so I'm going to mess with that. Check, 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 check 1. Check, 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 check 2. Check, 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 check 3. What'd you like there? Check, 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 check. How's this? Check. I'm gonna stick it here for a bit, and you let me know how it goes, how it's going. Possible my daughter messed with that. I don't think she would have. Maybe something. More likely the mic got moved around and something bumped the knob on the back. So this is great. We have a 2, a 3, and then any land double spells us on 4. Still want a 4th land here, but again, great start. Still need that land. Just give us one more land, deck. I am gonna... you could make an argument for not playing Rada here. We have open mana from Oppo. Certainly I'm going to attack first. I'm going to remember to do that here. You could make an argument, though, for just Hobble Fiend here and save Rada. Let's see if we get pauses from Oppo. Yeah, Oppo pause makes me not want to risk Rada, but we're also out of land. Grim Pac-Man's like, do it. I am hesitant, obviously. If we do this and it gets killed, are we still okay with where we're at? We still have a fine hand, but we're pretty Rada heavy. Like, Rada is super important. I'm gonna give him some bait. And we have the ability to sack one to the other if they have removal here. Shock obviously wouldn't have gotten Rada, but we didn't know if it was Shock or deal 3. Now we definitely do Rada because we're hoping there's a land on top, right? We could attack and see if they... I bet they wouldn't block if we attack. This is a spot where I think maybe the better players with a better read would figure out what to do here, but I think 80% of the time we attack with this Hobble Fiend, maybe more. It gets through for 2. The question is that enough? Yeah. I wasn't going to do it anyway, Mike. I was more talking about it now. I think I'm being weak, though, by not finding that bluff in time. We got the wizardry ahead of the burn bright, so we're going to try and dump our hand and then, like, edge wizardry, etc. Yeah, Mike is right. If you realize you're going to bluff, you need to... you're better off doing it right away, because it indicates you're looking at the card that wins combat right in your hand. There was nothing to think about. Of course you're going to attack with the +4/+4 in your hand. Havoc Jester, strong card here. We want to land to just slag that. No land to just slag that. So what do we want to do? We could Hunter's Edge the Ogre, just to keep the... Oh, sorry, thank you. I forgot. What do I need to do to remember that? Clearly I need to do something. How about... We'll do that. Where's my post-it notes? There's one. I'm just going to put a little post-it note on Rada on my screen as a reminder. Great. So now I'm going to go with the slag play and get in. Augur's so good. We passed an Augur, understandably, for, what was it, some burn spell? Shock, maybe? No. What was it? What did we take over Augur? Something better for green-red, right? Yeah, we could go for Wizardry here, but I think the Wizardry Burn Bright plan is a little slower than we want, and actually we're just fine on the race if we do what Mike suggests, and edge Rada, kill Augur, edge Rada, kill Ogre, and be able to get in with Rada. We can also edge the Augur to clear the path for Hobble Fiend too. What do you think of that, Mike? So we can kill the biggest attacker, or we can just get this out of the way and get an extra damage. Let's look at clock. I'm out of time. I'm going to do it this way. Close call there. Mike liked it the other way. At least one person in chat liked that line. I like what it does for us next turn to get in that 8, because now if we draw a land, we get to pump Rada. Oh, boo! Made Rada bigger and actually made it worse for us. We get to sack for Hobble Fiend. All right, this actually isn't that bad for us. They're down to Ogre and one card in hand, and our hand is pretty stacked. Now I like... maybe we have to go Wizardry and Shock. Mike likes Fiend plus Cur. Fiend plus Cur shows... You can also Cur and just threaten Pump. What about Cur, hold up, Pump, and Shock? Yeah, that leaves our mana stranded, but then if they do nothing, we've stabilized. Alright, Cur Fiend, let's do that. Remove my Rada post-it. Rocket's got opinions. Which two cards do we want to give up here? We can give up any two of Fiend, Cur, and Shock. I like... I kind of like Cur and Shock, although Cur pumps nicely from here. Oh, Rocket. Let's do Cur and Shock. I think I like that. Yeah, the trouble is we're not going to pump. Like, we have too much to do in hand. Take it, also an option. Take it was also an option. But I'm enamored with clearing this board. I think Wizardry Burn Bright from here is going to be great for us. This is an instant, so if anything happens where we need to pump the Fiend, we can play the Wizardry. Green Splash, found Rada, and we both used the Edge and used Rada, so it was useful here. Certainly improved our card quality for this game. Yeah, maybe, especially with the Weird, I'm just going to go this and try to win now with the Burn Bright. Nice. 3 wins, great spot to get to. Rocket agrees with that. Even my crappy memory and utter lack of object permanence can't stop Rada. I try, but the card was too good. Looks good. I like the thrill as well. A land would be better, but if we can't find a land, being able to thrill away something we don't want to deal with, like the geyser maybe. If we're stuck on land, we'd get rid of the geyser. But we found a third. That's good. Of course, offering a Hobble Fiend, and if they send the Glide Master, I'm inclined to accept the trade for whatever they've got. I should get my wife, who's an artist, among other things, to make me some custom screen reminders. Little... Mike says take it if Oppo says race. That's fair. Heck, maybe just kill it with Geyser. I just don't think that matters much. The Cardlinger would have led with the Mountain. My heuristic is to play my mana evenly so that I have all the options. In this case, you may be right. There's a slight edge to disguising the green, but I just can you name me? Can you tell me a time that based on what land your opponent played, you completely altered your third turn or your second turn or whatever? I just don't think it matters that much. I mean, I don't want to deny any small edge. We're all about small edges around here, but I just wonder if there's really any edge there. No, I hear you, Cardlinger. Part of it is just like, I was thinking about like my late quote laziness around land, like some of the leaks I have around like playing land before thinking about it, executing my plays before processing my attacks. Like these leaks I have tend to be around heuristics I've employed in my brain to free it up to think about other stuff, but it trips me up sometimes, right? So I do these things automatically on autopilot, and autopilot is this very useful thing for your brain. The fact that I can autopilot so many of my Magic decisions, I think, is what allows me to even stream and play at all, you know? But ultimately, it has its double edge of getting me complacent about certain decisions. Tom's calling the mind rot as a reason to deploy your narrow land. Of course, in that case, we would not have ditched any of our lands to a mind rot. All right. Hunter's Edge on Stitcher seems good to me. Let's get that dead. Agree? Mike agrees. We don't want this to start doing, even just the looting work is scary, but especially if it loots into reanimation. So let's make a big weird. I'll even give you this. Major Megaforce must be new around here. Somebody better redeem some more memes for Major Megaforce. Still want lands. Not going to play the Thrill yet. Going to go for Wizardry here and then untap with some possibility. Yeah, we could play Fiend and sack and have Thrill.
To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal, light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance!
And meteor shower, here we go. Interestingly, you know, we could play Wizard and try and trade here. I'm going to do it because here's what I'm hoping. I don't actually want to trade one of my tokens for a Glide Master. I really don't. But I'm going to do it now in hopes that Oppo responds by giving their Glide Master flying. The OG. Rat Burglar. We both have a volcanic geyser that loves land. We have a Thrill that's probably looking to pitch land at some point. What did they do? Oh, great, they did it. They spent. That's what we wanted. Yeah, let's do the Thrill Pitch the Forest just to trigger these dudes. I like that. Also, we certainly don't need more forests. And we're going to play land now, though, to feed the geyser. We're going to go post-combat per Hobble Fiend or instant speed geyser if we feel like we need to, but probably not. Let's see. Geysering doesn't get us to 4, so yeah, I'm just going to let that happen and we'll double spell. It's tough to know how to exactly where to put your queen, but you are going to be playing against other people there with similar win rates still. It might not feel like it, but you bring up an interesting point. Like, because I think part of it is they want you to feel progress. They want you to feel happy that despite your win percentage, you've made it to... yeah, I'm not done with memes yet. I have my list. I'm just... meeting them out a little bit. Well, that's a fun thing to steal, huh? I think they just legit want you to feel a sense of progress. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I got it wrong. Oh, maybe I copied your name. What was your... I think I sent everybody to you, Goblin Puzzle, because that's what was in my thing. Sorry. Let's see. Let's go steal here. Yeah, let me focus here, folks, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. Let's get red. We can even... Yeah, let's do... Kill the Glide Master. And get him to scoop. Well, happy to sack that in response. Don't have room to sack weird, gotta sack their thing. Yeah, I guess there was a lot of ways we could have spent that, but I think we had a pretty good line. That worked out. Yeah, and I'll play the mountain because then we get sack weird plus a bunch of pumps. Masked Blackguard is gonna stop some, but I think we're still pretty good with the trample damage. Hey, Lola Man, welcome. Just Lola Man is a streamer who organizes the streamer showdowns that I've been part of. Looks like we're gonna have one Thursday. 23 minutes, Eldraine Showdown. We could take a break from this potentially and do that. Let's ask chat. I guess that doesn't do anything. I'm pumping needlessly here. But we'll make that trade. Sounds like chat is in, Lola Man, so I guess I know what I'm doing in 23 minutes. Ghostlight probably has to set the Hobble Fiend back. which is a good play for them. You know, if we don't draw an instant or if we draw an instant or sorcery, we win. But right now, that's a decent stabilization play. Yeah, so I'm not... We could put him to 1. I guess I'm going to put him to 1. Because then we have 3 lethal threats, and that's fine. And we can sack one of them to one of these Hobble Fiends. You say it's not worth having 2 lethal threats, Mike? I disagree. Because then, yeah, then we sack it, and this becomes 3 power of trample, which is lethal through a Ghost Light, even. I think I'll play one more game. I think we can get 1 game in before this Eldraine opportunity. And there you go. I think this is pretty darn lethal. Play a Hobble Fiend so we can sack it. Sack the Summoning Sick Fiend to one of the attacking ones. I guess that wasn't needed either. I should have passed. I'm being silly. I should get punished now. That was dumb. Gosh. Lucky. I don't know what I was thinking. My plan was just sack the block one. I didn't even think about it. More... That's another of my leaks. Overconfidence when the win seems in grasp. And of course, the thing is, usually you do win, right? Like, 95% of the time plus that you make these, we got this mistakes, you do got it. That's why you made the mistake. You got lazy, but I won't let myself off the hook for it. I'm going to give it another 1 go. I think we can get in there before the top of the hour. Well, again, I don't even know what could have saved them. The point is, there was no reason. Like, I certainly can't name why I should have done that, right? There's no reason I should have done that. So even though if after the fact you're like, well, I can't come up with how you'd be punished. Hey, where's Mensch? This is Mensch concern, right? We got to mulligan this because we don't have red. So 1 point to Mensch here on mono red. Gonna keep this and let the crash through go. Whenever I make a mental lapse like that, Tom, it's kind of an arg mistake to me because I know it's the thing I could have avoided. You know, I don't get too tilted when I play well and just lose or whatever, but when I win but punt, it actually bugs me. Because it's a thing I need to work on. But I do think Crash Through is what we pitch here. Everything else here looks... Although I like Crash Through with the weird, but we can't give up any of this other stuff. All right, found a 3rd land, means you get to drop a weird. If we find a 4th land, we get Hunter's Edge, and if we don't, we still have Seer with weird in play, we hope. I'm gonna say no. The sniper doesn't do anything to us except be a pesky little annoyance, so... yeah, the Pteranodon is scary, but we are gonna go for the weird, and then maybe we Hunter's Edge it next turn. This is another spot where we could bluff, knowing that if we had to, if we're willing to Soul Seer as a backup plan, we could bluff with the Hobble Fiend, and they probably don't take it. Or they probably take it. We would just have to commit to Soul Searing if they block. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to get the weird down. No, it's not even waiting too long. Like, in that case, there's a backup plan. The floor is fine, right? If Mike says we waited too long. If that was a suicide bluff, yes. But when it's not a suicide bluff, it doesn't matter how long you wait, I think. And the other thing, like when you attack with the Hobble Fiend that has Trample and Soul Sear the Trana, you do get the Trample damage, for example, as well. But this is good. I'm glad we get rid of this Tranodon. Shields are entirely down, so this is all going exactly what we want. And at 4/4, can't be blocked. Question is, do we want to offer Hobble Fiend for Sniper here? Yeah, it's trading down. Yeah, all right, we won't. That's fine. Well, if it is holding off a Hobble Fiend, it's not completely useless, right? But it does have a better value. I think you're right. Well, the trade earlier, I wasn't sure who was aggro, but when we are, I don't mind getting blockers out of the way. Of course, like, because if they're being aggro with it, 1 a turn doesn't matter much, but if we're trying to be aggro, clearing it could matter. Yeah, we were all kind of surprised, Haj, but there you go. Let's go Rada, remembering to look for a land. I'm going to put my Rada reminder. I made a Rada reminder here. And we want red up. You want to attack with Sear up first? There's my leak. I'm just so certain we're going to play Rada that I'm not looking at our possible attacks. We have Conclave Mentor that maybe we should just kill. I really wanted to play Rada so that we could find land, but maybe we just need to Soul Scar that Mentor here and make sure the Mentor does not provide huge value for Oppo, especially with white tapped, so no Feat of Resistance right now. And still not going to offer the Hobble Fiend. I think we do Sear the Mentor no matter what. We're just going to let him block first. But no matter what, when we get to declare blockers, we are going to Sear the Mentor. Yeah, this is generally the best card in the decks it's in. I don't know if they're white-green splashing red or white-red or green-red splashing white. Probably white-green splashing red. Well, now that they're just chumping here, we can wait. Yeah, so they're going with that. So it's going to get a +1/+1 counter to make it a 2/3. Then it's going to double the +1 counters to make it a 3/4. That doesn't even do anything yet. Oh, right. Yeah. There we go. That's what. Now we kill the Mentor. Got it. Just checking. What I was making sure of is that we didn't need to kill the Sniper out like that, and that completes the blowout. Dreadmaw good, though. Although, we're about to make a 6/6 of our own. Ooh. Ooh. Play Rada, pass. Yeah, well, play Rada, see if we find land. No land. My reminder though. Rada. Yeah, we wouldn't necessarily want to pitch slag anyway. I just was hoping to find a land because land would be nice. Yeah, thrilling the cur away seems correct if we don't find land, or even we, potentially even if we do. Although I think if we find land, we just slag. Well, actually, slag doesn't get the dread mod dead. Again, we'll see. Forester, 1, 2, 3. They've got the pump on it. There's our land that I'm remembering to cast from the top of our library. We could thrill away the cur, draw more land, get ourselves a 6/6. Let's do that. I don't like using slag on anything I'm seeing here. Obviously, it can't get the Dreadmaw, and I don't want to do it on Courser quite yet here. You like slag, swing with Weird and Rada. Well, Mike's got a very aggro line. What is he thinking? So if we slag the Chorister, we get in for 6, 7, 8, 9. Even 10, 11, because we can attack with the Fiend as well, right? Yeah, I guess I was hoping to find something with Thrill, but I've got an answer in hand. We should use it. Well, let's get their feet. Let's find it. If they've got it, we'll figure it out. And 6, 7. I like Fiend, offering the Fiend, right? I mean, if they want to trade the mana producer, that's fine with our hand. I'm going to do that. Or if it is blocking, we're fine, right? We'll take the damage or we'll take the trade. Either is okay with us. Rada with land on top is active for next turn as a, 9/9 or whatever. Yeah, I could have put a stop. I didn't in time. Interesting. Can thrill to get the replicant, and this comes a 7/7 that can hold off the Dreadmaw, and they're top decking. And they kind of have to chump, right? Because we're almost threatening lethal. Let's start with attacking with Rada and leaving the weird back. Yeah, and we can't do this. We can't do the pump because we actually do want the 7/7. Although we can do that at instant speed, right? So I guess the reason to do it now is we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we find something else, we could cast it. Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, maybe we haven't played the land yet. We have played land. So we go Cur and hold Thrill, right? What I was thinking is they might send in the Dreadmaw to trade with the Weird, and then we Thrill and eat the Weird. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And with the top deck, I'm going to risk it. That's true. I could have forced a chump by playing a land. Hodge calls. This I think we take. I know that. Oh yeah, we'd already played a land. That's good. Yes, we did play it from library. Or trade Cur. Yeah, that trade Cur is good. We'll trade Cur. We leave. We don't get Thrill Mountain in this case, but we still get the trade. So I'm in for that. Now should be G to the G. Oh, I didn't see the greed. This should be fine anyway. I was just thinking we do this and win, that's all. They did have a card, so like it was possible they had something, but remember they were top decking, so they just drew that card. And sure, they had removal in their deck that could have punished us there. Maybe I could have played around some of the possible outs they would have had there. So again, probably had like a 96%er there that could have been a little bit higher with a little bit different play. Yeah, as Mike says, thrilled to get greed was safer. We could have played around their hand a little bit. All right, I'm going to jump into chat and figure out where I'm going. But let me take a second here to say, YouTube friends, we're going to come back to this one. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. This might be a two-parter. If this ends the video here, check for part 2, and if it doesn't, I'll splice out what I'm about to do right now. Bye. All right, well, we finished that other event, so let's jump back into this one. I'm going to update my record. We are 5-0 over here. And then this is M21 Premiere. My old ass knees are getting shaky here. Just bringing myself pain, all for you. All for you. Apparently they're having trouble finding me a matchup. We got timed out earlier when this happened. Maybe that's what's going on here. Well, when you're 5-0 and it takes you this long to pair, it's probably good for you. It probably means the system has pared you down. I don't know if they pared me down on rank, record, or both, but it looks like our Oppo has a lower rank, so maybe they just are a 5-0 deck at a lower rank. We're going to keep this despite no Rada mana yet. We have Hobble Fiend into Soul Seer and a million Hobble Fiends, so we're likely to find a second one to get the Chrome Replicator going. And by million, of course, I mean 5. That's still a lot. And we found our forest even for a turn 3 Hobble Fiend, turn 3 Rada. Ooh, Shock, you're just a little late. I would have absolutely shocked the Glide Master there, but we'll go Hobble Fiend. Pride Malkin probably means Glide Master will attack. Oh, trade being offered, we're going to say no. And I was thinking of just shocking the Pride Malkin. I actually don't think that they are going to block. I'm going to play the Forest also to represent Pump here. Go ahead and take the attack. And yeah, I don't think they're blocking. Then we'll go with Rada. And then next turn we have Wizardry or Soulseer and Shock, etc. That's pretty good. I'm thinking next turn we probably Wizardry to set up Soulseer Shock with 2 Wizard tokens in play, though. And just accept the racing conditions that Oppo is presenting here. I actually had a Shock the Monkey meme in the works back when the Pirate Goblin 1/1 that looks like a monkey was a thing, but I'll do a Shock the Monkey meme when there is a Shock in the same set as a monkey. So you want to Shock and Seer now? Maybe we could. Yeah, Shock and Seer is maybe safe. Oh, Terror's on top. Okay, then, well, let's start with the attack anyway. Let's attack. Remembering. What did Mike say? I missed it. Yeah, I'll put my reminder up, although I accidentally destroyed it, so I don't even have one right now. Don't want to forget our Rada. And hey, you know, we're 5-0 with a deck with Terror of the Peaks, and we haven't actually seen Terror of the Peaks yet. And Shock and Seer now. Yeah, let's just do that. Why even mess around, right? With the big boy incoming, let's clear this board and try and just lock it up. That's fine. We get to recast Rada for value. Hobble Fiend. Let's make an offer. I'd offer this trade if they want to take it. I remembered. I don't know what they're up to with that attack, but I'm not blocking with our Terror. And a 6th land gives us Rada. Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power. Okay. Oh, Oppo has given up. Sorry, I was just about to kill you, buddy. Sorry. Yeah, Rada before land. I was going to do that too. Thank you. Welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ryan Spain. I co-created the Limited Resources podcast before leaving that gig to work at Wizards of the Coast for 7 years, where I spent 5 in R&D working on Paper Magic and Magic Online, and then 2 years on the Magic the Gathering Arena team. Now I'm here. Hi. thank you for coming along on this raid. I know some people bail on raids before they happen, so I really appreciate that you stuck with this one and came to say hello. We're going for 7 here. Going for 7. 6-0. In fact, I got to update this record. Nice 7-0 to welcome the Raiders would be cool. And we can keep this. We got Hobble Fiend on 2, Thrill pitching land on 3. Around here, we focus on leveling up, getting better, very much limited resources ethos around here. Self-improvement, vigorous debate, but healthy respect. And we try to have a good attitude about screwing up. Chorister. I'm willing to take this block here. Chorister's real good when the land gets going. Might as well take the trade when you got it. And I'm going to Thrill here. Pitch Mountain, see what we get. There's our bomb. We still haven't... I think we resolved that for the first time last game. Did we ever play Terror? And I think we made 5-0 without ever even drawing the Terror. All right. Well, and also in case you're thinking that we're getting unlucky on green, we only are running 2 green cards. We have a Hunter's Edge and a Rada. That's it. Here we're gonna toss this Hobble Fiend in front of that Ogre as fast as we can, if we are allowed. Never mind. I changed my mind. We're now gonna throw this. Never mind. We're gonna take a bunch of damage. We're at 17, though. We can maybe take a turn to slag. No pun intended. And then... let's... we have a summertime fruit fly problem around here I was trying to solve there. Yeah, let's slag away that sword and then take another 4, cross our fingers, and drop the Terror. Can we turn this corner? With the Cur, I think we actually play Cur and then edge the Cur. You agree? Then we don't lose to some nonsense. AKA removal. We have 6, soon to be 7, so we can actually pump once. All right. Looking good. Stable. If the Terror lives. Thank you for the sub, too. Who is that? DJ Chris, awesome. Thank you for that sub. And now we just get to pump, 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 and even have the shock left over. We could shock the Bolt Hound. Curious to see if they do anything first. I guess we just shock it. Like, there's no sense losing to something I'm not thinking about. Feat of Resistance would save it, but not actually allow them to get there with it. Boom! What a good deck. 7-0. And kind of not difficult 7-0. Sometimes it comes your way. Add that one to the decks, and we'll take a look at it briefly so that those who didn't see the whole deal could see what we just won with. There was some debate whether we go mono red or splash the edge in the Rada. It's so inexpensive to add a few lands and splash some excellent cards. It seemed correct to me, and certainly Rada and Hunter's Edge both played excellent parts in the 7-0. There was one game where our opening hand was 2 forests and 5 red cards, and we had to throw it back. So it did punish us once, but overall, I think the quality of Rada and Hunter's Edge well made up for one moment of mana issue that was pretty unlikely, actually. I think most events you don't even have that one time. So, yeah, that was awesome. Let's close this off and hop to Soapbox and say thank you to our YouTube friends for hanging out for that one. Glad you stuck with it to the end. Nice 7-0 run there. Yeah, sometimes I feel okay at Magic. Okay, I feel okay, you know? Lots of room to improve, though. We know that. That's why we're here. That's what we're doing around here. Thank you so much for hanging around for that one, though. Hope maybe you improved a little bit somehow, some way through this one. See you, YouTube.